Uganda is an interesting country with the young people composing up to over 75 population. I mean over 75 percentage of the whole population deriving from the young, the children, the people within the age bracket of the youth, that is the below 35 to above, from 18 and above. So what does that mean? This means this young population are actually compelled with so much issues to do with governance and policy decisions, because over the period of time we've seen the young people coming out to speak out their opinion. So this brings us to an interesting conversation that is hailing from the perspective that Uganda Vision 2040 still recognizes the essence that the young people play a pivotal role in the governance as a whole in the country. So we look at the PDM, that's the parish development model, and even the national youth policies that are framed towards recognizing the participation of the young people in the economy as a very vital essence to escalate development of the country along the lines of governance. Today with us is none other than one of the most amazing person you can ever meet in life, and an expert in the field of governance, coming from Faraja Africa Foundation, the heads of program. That's none other than Ajok Dolly. Yes, madam, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Ivan.
Maybe for the benefit of the viewer, can we know you more?
So my name is Dolly Ajok.
Yes.
Like you have said, I work with Faraja Africa Foundation as the head of programs. I'm newly transitioned into policy and governance, though it is not something that I've not been doing. It's something I've been doing, but not actively in the field.
Wow.
My background is public health. So now the job that I'm doing now sort of brings it full circle for me, watching youth issues from the ground move and become policy recommendations.
Wow, thank you. Of course, Dolly, for the past few years, we've seen a lot of social media platforms coming up due to the increase in the technology in the country. We've seen X Spaces, we've seen Instagram, we've seen Facebook, we've seen TikTok, people going live, young people going live to discuss issues, and these issues hail from some of the policy framework within the nation. Do you really see a difference between activism, which the young people are majorly participating in, with leadership itself? I mean, the transforming essence of what the young people speak into the real essence of governance.
I think I will start with what I have seen in the youth space. I have seen youth leaders and I have seen youth activists as well. Yes. And if you understand the difference between the two, you'll know there are young people that have carried the vision of youth inclusion for over years. They have grown into adults now, but they were the pioneers and the ambassadors of this conversation of bringing young people to the table of governance, bringing young people into leadership, political leadership, institutional leadership. We have seen many young people taking that role as a leader, but we have also seen young people as activists. And I think, like you said, the media platforms have become very many, but also it's an advantage for young people. Wow. The traditional media platforms, let me say activism platforms, yes, in my view, limited young people to a certain way, because you don't have access to the table where activism is done. You may not afford to go for a conference where activism can be done, or join a meeting where this active activism can be done. But you have social media. We have seen young people with millions of followers on social media champion an agenda and see that action is made. You've seen some of these tweets that get very quick action. The young person tweets and says, this is not right, this is happening in my village, I do not like it, and you see ministry jumping on it, government is jumping on it, districts are getting on it. And I think that is the new direction of activism now. Young people are using what is available to them, which is social media, which is right at the tips of their fingers, and bringing the issues to light.
Wow. So, of course, we've also seen that evidently during the time when the country was undergoing the sovereignty bill debate. Of course, from X-space discussion, it caught up the attention of the policymakers, and there was a lot of changes in the sovereignty bill as it was initially first enacted. So I think that is something that is playing a pivotal role. But then I would want to also understand what is the driving force that is leading the young people much into activism more than even the leadership itself. I don't know. Because I've always seen the participation of the young people on leadership structures actually very narrow. When you look at the National Youth Council, when you look at the different youth leagues hailing from different parties, you'll find that the participation of the young people within those frameworks are a bit minimal compared to the essence in activism. So what is actually driving much people? What do you think in your own context is driving much people into activism than taking part into active leadership?
In my view, leadership is not a one-day thing. Leadership is having a long-term vision that you're following through to the end. And long-term vision means you have understood an issue, you have appreciated, you have the solutions to this issue, and you're moving the journey with people. Leadership is not a 1 day or 2 day or a 1 year thing. You might do it for 10, 20, 50 years or to your death. We have seen very prominent people within Uganda itself. The president himself joined politics when he was a youth and walked the journey up till now. So it is not a 1 day thing. When he tells us Vision 2040, it was not started yesterday. Vision 2040 was something born back then when he was pursuing his the leadership role. So I think for young people to pursue leadership, you need to be informed. You need to understand what the issues are, what are the alternatives. You need to be adaptive because time is going to change. You will have a vision for 2040. 2040 is not yet here. Climate change is almost ending the world. Temperature is going to 50 degrees. What if we don't reach 2040? So you have to be adaptive. How does that vision incorporate all these other things? Whereas activism is problem now, solution now, this is what can work. And that is why young people, I think, prefer activism more because I see a problem, I have a solution, let's get the action. And they want it now. But also, you know, the generation we have now, it is solutions for today, not solutions for tomorrow or next year, which is activism. I see this problem, I want a solution now. Who do I go to? Show me the ministry, show me who. So it works for the young people perfectly well.
Yeah, as somebody who has always been in the field trying to brainstorm with the young people how effective activism can be, what are some of the things that you've seen along the path that young people need to really avoid as much as they're doing their activism? Because we understand at certain point activism can as well become risky. And now, what are some of these key things that you've seen that you feel young people must avoid as much as they're engaging in activism?
Okay. I think for me, the top thing, and every time I speak to young people, I always tell them this. Be informed. Be informed. There is no, the law says there is no, ignorance is no defense.
Yes.
Know what you're talking about. You're not going to wake up and say so and so has done this, has stolen this. What facts do you have? Before you go on social media to defame somebody, have your facts. And that is where young people have erred with activism. No information or very limited information, basing the information on very wrong information sources. You're not going to use a TikTok video to defend your activism. How true is that source that you're getting information from?
True.
Read. There are a lot of publications on things. Read. Be current on current affairs. Follow what is happening. Make your own judgment. Is this right? How many young people know the Constitution back to back that can speak to it and say, this is a violation of a constitutional right. This is me violating somebody else's constitutional right. So I think for me, misinformation and lack of information has hindered young people's participation active and meaningful participation in activism, but also diplomacy. I will always choose diplomacy.
Wow.
Call people to the table, present your issue with respectfulness. I have seen young people become very rowdy, very disrespectful. I don't know how far it works, but diplomacy has always taken you further. If
Wow.
violence takes you far, I believe diplomacy will take you even further. Call people with respect. Present your issue with respect. Demand for your right with respect. That is what I always tell young people.
So, in other words, you are trying to tell me that the violent activism often leads to destruction rather than bringing about the change that you intend to.
If accidentally it has given you a change, thumbs up for you. But I have seen violent activism take the country even further down. The damages you cause is investment that probably has been built over 40, 50 years. You've destroyed it in one day, you've burnt a building.
True,
and
true.
Then what next?
Of late, I witnessed the so-called Gen Zs of Kenya when they moved to the parliament and they did a lot of massive destruction in the name of activism. Would you consider that as an activism or a sense of now being destructive and
Sometimes there's a thin line between being rowdy and being an activist. I have seen people, and this is from my view, I do not want to give a comment on that because probably that works for them. I do not know. It seemed to have got some positive yields, but maybe the way they went around it was not the best option. There could have been a youth movement that still could have peacefully marched to parliament and demanded an audience, and they would have been given. I think violence should be the least of the things we think about, if not the last resort. And I don't know if any government would wait for that last resort to happen.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe at a position of leadership, everybody has a role to listen to what the populations are saying and make informed decision based on also the perspective coming from the population themselves. Now, I wanted to also understand this deeper. Of course, statistic has it that young people have flooded the activism aspect than the leadership. Do you think there is mistrust about leadership structures that we have? Because I would really love to see young people much more engaged in leadership structures which are nationally recognized and have the bargaining powers. Yet young people have for many times chosen the path to activism. Do you think the young people have lost trust in the leadership structures that they have?
I have heard young people say the institutional leadership structures that are available are non-functional. And this I've heard from the young people because I'm always on ground. And they say, no, that is just, it's like any other leadership structure that exists. They'll never call you to the table. They never really listen to you. And they'll give you some small budget to keep you around that is not even effective. This is what I've heard from young people. Now, I also want to understand that functionalizing these structures it needs to cost government some money, and probably now this is my ask to government. Be intentional about financing these leadership structures. It should not be how do they call it, something that exists because of some affirmative action that they took somewhere. Be intentional about financing it, but also let them be independent, so that these young people can actually have their own decisions made, their own issues raised, and listen to them. So I think you could be right that young people don't have much trust that their issues will go through these structures to the end. But it doesn't mean that it does not. It does. There are few things that go through these leadership structures, and you find NYC actually presenting these things, and you find the youth parliaments receiving a document that is sent by, I think, what is this document here? I'll talk about it when I remember.
Okay.
But you see these documents making their way to Parliament, to the floor of Parliament, and being presented by the MPs.
Briefs
the policy briefs, the youth manifesto is what I was looking for. And you see, the youth manifesto is something that has the voice of young people in it. Sure. But like I said, we live in a very fast-paced, evolving world. The issues in the manifesto yesterday or last year is not responding to the issues of today. So that is why sometimes young people will use two-pronged approach. I will give you my issues here, but I'm also going for activism because this has come up now and it needs a response. It cannot wait for budgetary allocation or budgeting for next financial year.
Wow. So I wanted to also come from an essence of what I've seen you've been doing. Yeah, for example, I've seen you've been engaging with the youth parliament, from the subnational up to the regional. Of late, we've seen also the East African Legislative Assembly taking consideration into discussing some of the matters that the young people have been raising in the floor of parliament. Do you think there is a lesson that the existing youth structure can borrow from that? Because as you've hinted on diplomacy in the initial submission that you gave us, you've also talked much that diplomacy works. Now, I want you to bring to this clear. We've seen institutions taking serious actions on the matters that the young people are discussing in the youth parliament. Do you think there is some lesson that these existing structures as well can borrow from these structures that you had?
So if we're taking from the learnings of the East African Youth Parliament, I think consistency and having a clear course of plan, what you're going to do, how you're going to do it. When you look at how the East African Youth Parliament works, there are committees that are in charge of different issues. And each committee is tasked with developing recommendations, policy recommendations. Some are sent back to the different countries, others are sent forward to the East African Legislative Assembly. There is a clear way of work. There is a clear focus for the time that they're in office, their tenure period, and they know I have to deliver on this, I have to deliver on this, based on facts that are gathered from the dialogues. True. In fact, the beginning of the Youth Parliament is the community dialogue where we collect the issues, bring it to the regional level, prioritize, take it to the national level, prioritize again, and take it to East Africa at a country level. What are the issues that we're taking to East African Legislative Assembly? So I think there should be a structure that works and clear direction of where we are going with this advocacy or this activism. True. But also it doesn't mean the different ways don't work. Government has its own structure of work. And when these young people's, like the Youth Manifesto is brought, developed, these are things that you may need different organs to come in. You want to take a copy to ministry so that the minister in charge of youth affairs is aware of it, can also talk about it on the floor of parliament. You want to get the youth MPs well abreast with whatever issue is in that document so that they can speak to it. But also you want to link them to the young people on ground so that in case there is any change, there are new issues that are coming up, the youth MPs are aware of it and they're picking it up. But I feel that linkage sometimes is broken. There is no direct touch with young people on ground, and that is now where our role comes in as youth-led organizations, to make sure that link is maintained and there's flow of information up, flow of information down.
Yeah, so I think to me, I take it as if you're trying to tell us that no matter how much you are participating in activism, for it to be effective, we must create a line between a linkage line between leadership and activism by bringing together the youth MPs, the youth leaders at the national level. That means there must be linkage between activism and leadership. So What do you think are the government as an institution and maybe political parties, because they have the youth leagues, what do you think they can do best to ensure that the young people in the leadership are positive about being absorbed into activism and creating the linkage? What do you think this institution can do better?
I think for me, one, activism is not bad. In fact, it is very good. It means you are aware of what is happening in your community. You have solutions sometimes. Sometimes you don't even have solutions. You're just making an alarm that there's a problem here. Please, we need help. How can we think about it? And when you look at activism, the issues that we are raising as young people, it's not only affecting one young person. It's not only affecting NRM youth. Neither is it affecting NUP youth only. It's affecting young people as a whole. So if the issues are the same, affecting all the young people, why are we dividing ourselves at points of activism? I think there should be a connection some way. How do these leagues, even themselves, link these issues?
Sure.
Even when I'm an NRM youth league, I'm just giving an example, an NRM youth member, you should be aware of the same issue that the NUP is also presenting. That way we are presenting the same thing, a united front, similar pressure, then yields results. It can't be that NUP is asking for something else, NRM is asking for something else, government is forced to prioritize. And which one will they prioritize? Probably the one that is more pressing, hopefully, or the one that can be solved at that time, which could even be the less pressing issue. You're looking at unemployment, you're looking at young people can't access health services. They'll say, okay, if we're going to give a solution, let's give a systemic solution or institutional solution, which starts from Ministry of Health. By the time the young person who is not getting family planning on ground gets the solution that they asked for, it's probably 3-4 years, because they have to build systems, they have to increase financing, probably even borrow more money to make this health system work. But if the pressure is exerted at the same point, demanding the same thing, it makes it easy for government to prioritize. NRM League is speaking the same thing. NUP is saying no, healthcare is bad. NRM is saying healthcare is bad. FTC is saying no. For this one, we are all together. Forget our parties, we are young people. And this is our problem. It is easier to achieve with activism.
Yes, our viewers out there, this is the heads of program at Frage African Foundation that has been at the center of conversation about governance, policy reforms, and of course, as you've heard from her, diplomacy has always taken a key note in all what she has always been pushing with the young people. So I can also as well remind you of her last submission when she's telling us that, of course, the young people are having a similar problem across all our political differences. That means if we unite ourselves and speak one voice, irrespective of our political background, irrespective of our political parties and religious differences, then we can influence a lot. Allow me get back to Elizabeth, and we try to clarify on this. We've seen young people during the political seasons taking active part in politics. For example, in political conversation, in pushing the interest of their candidates, and most often we've always seen violence at a certain point. Do you think there's a way we can, the young people can participate in politics without violence aspect? Because we've seen it, and we've seen actually young people paying heavy cost for getting violent.
Yeah.
Is there a way that the young people can participate in politics without getting into the violence aspect of it?
First of all, participating in politics is your civic right for every young person. So ensure, in fact, if you're a young person out there and you're not exercising your civic right, you are not doing your country justice. We need you to select, choose, vote the leaders that you want for tomorrow. Otherwise, nobody else is going to vote it for you or vote
Wow.
them for you. But how do we do this in a peaceful manner? Yes, I have also seen young people do that. And it takes me back to my conversation. Sometimes I want to believe, it may not be true, but I want to believe many times young people are misinformed. You are told, now you see, and let me start from the lower level. When you see the issues usually that is bringing these fights, are issues that perturbs your mind. You'll find someone saying, no, they're bewitching my candidate. You've heard that.
Yeah.
And because of that, people are set on fire, people are waylaid, borders are looted because of something like that, which you don't even have a ground for. But then also, and there are better alternatives of solving this. Must you waylay somebody's party members and beat them up on the road? Must they be, I don't know, stop them from casting their vote? Must they be hunted down to their homes and their homes set on fire? I think that is not the right way. Even as we exercise our civic right, we need to do it in the confines of the law. Otherwise, yes, you will be arrested, and rightfully so, you will be prosecuted and taken to prison.
Sure.
And that is where your activism turns negative. It's not because you didn't have the problems of young people that you were presenting. You presented the right issues. But then later on, felt that the law was not responding quick enough. You became the law enforcer and took it into your hands and decided to punish other people without going through the right procedures of the law. I feel we can partner. If you feel there's unfairness, we have seen MPs that did not make it go back to court and challenge the results. That is the right procedure. Go and battle it out in court. If you don't get it and it's still unfair, talk about it. It is okay. That is your right. If you feel it was unfair to you, but as long as you respect what the court said, that you lost and the other person won. But also, losing is okay. I realize sometimes people don't accept losing. In fact, if I were a leader and have been beaten hands down in an election, go shake the hands of your competitor. It was a good race. And people didn't want you. Accept it. People wanted the other person, which is also okay.
Sure.
And let's move on. In fact, work with them. And I saw this example in Arua, where the outgoing LC5 promised to work hand in hand with the incoming LC5. And he said, it is okay. People have chosen you. I respect that. I served my term and I accept to support you. And they were working together and still are working together. I think that is the kind of leadership we should start instilling in young people, that it is okay for your leader not to go through. It is okay for you to campaign with all the love you have for your leader, as long as you're not violating somebody else's rights.
Actually, I think, I don't know, can I allude this to some of the contributions of Faraja African Foundation? Because I know the organization has operated much in West Nile, and the conversation about leadership in West Nile seems to be changing, because I've also seen in Nebi when a candidate was vying for MP, lost in primary, came back and rallied for the person who won.
Exactly.
And yes, pushed the person who won,
Exactly.
who defeated him in primary. So generally, the conversation in West Nile seems to be changing.
It's shifting.
Yeah, I think, I don't know whether I should allude that to Faraja African Foundation.
I think the partners that have worked in West Nile, and I really want to applaud the PESA program, program on accountability and civic rights under the Royal Danish Embassy. They have done great work in West Nile, working with a couple of other organizations. Faraja Africa Foundation is one of those, Advance Africa, Open Space, Sensitize Uganda, SafeWord. We have seen these organizations change the narrative in West Nile.
Sure.
Peaceful transition is possible, but also exercise your civic right within the confines of the law.
Yes.
And this discussion, I feel we can. West Nile soon should be a learning region. Other regions should visit and learn from, and see how can I actively participate in civic or exercise my civic rights peacefully.
Yeah, I've seen that, and really, West Nile will soon become a learning ground for actually the entire nation. So I also wanted to you to put this clear in the simplest context our audience can understand. Are there lessons we can learn from, we've cited West Nile, and as well, are there lessons we can learn from personalities that have taken part in leadership and have influenced changes? For example, we have Honorable Minister Nyamutoro Fiona. We've seen her rise from the ladder of National Youth Council at village level, and today she's a minister and she is influencing a lot of change in this country. Are there some lessons we can learn from these personalities that have risen high, or are there also some lessons other people can borrow from West Nile, given some of the few things that you've cited about the region?
I'll cite two things, and I don't know if I can, with authority, speak to some of the ministers or MPs or leaders that have come up. I have also gotten to know many of them in the recent past. But we'll start with the Honorable Minister Nyamutoro. She's a lovely lady, and we have seen her, and she is very nice that she participated in the youth parliament back in the day.
Wow.
And I think for me, that goes to show that when young people are around the right information, are guided and mentored, they will turn out the best leaders that you would want. I would want to be under her leadership. I think she articulates her issues well. She knows how to run as a leader, knows how to present, knows how to lobby, knows how to network. Well-mentored young person, you can see.
Sure.
Recently, I met the mayor of Arua City. I think one of the youngest. He must be 24 or 25. Yes. When young people conduct their activism well, then people put trust in them. I think that was a clear example that when people see you in the right light and they say, that young boy, he's clear, he's level-headed. That young girl, she understands what she's doing. I appreciate her issues. She's speaking the voice, the true voice of the young people. People trust you. The Minister of Youth Affairs right now, she's also one of the youngest ministers we have had, leading a ministry.
Honorable Akisa.
Mercy.
Wow.
Yes. People trust you. People trust you to be a minister because your activism was diplomatic. I still go back to that. I have not seen any of them participating in rowdy activity unless I'm not aware. But I for sure tell you, I have not seen Mercy in anything rowdy. Neither have I seen Fiona Nyamutoro, Honorable, in anything rowdy. They will sit, they will present their issues, they will push, they will demand. Being diplomatic doesn't mean you don't demand. It doesn't mean you don't question. That is what people don't understand. Diplomacy means this, I am speaking to you respectfully, but I am demanding that this be done because these are the issues that have not been addressed over time and these are the effects of it. And I've seen these young people do that. And I'm not surprised that they're being trusted with these leadership positions. So do it right, be informed, respectfully present your issue, people will trust you. They will believe you're level-headed, you can lead.
Wow. Be respectful, be informed, people will trust you. From Dolly, one of the most interesting person, I tell you, in every submission, she always put diplomacy at the center of it all, and it has always worked for her. And I am actually privileged to understand that even Nyamutoro participated in the youth parliament.
Yeah.
So I think you are training personalities that eventually will transform a conversation within the country. What do you see the young people in the next 10 years, especially the ones that are participating in your activities? Because from this conversation, I can speak from a reliable context that you're raising young people with the essence of diplomacy it takes, with essence of respect it takes to transform conversation. Do you think the young people who are participating in some of these trainings have a future in changing the conversation around the country?
I am very confident. I think in this parliament, the National Youth Parliament, which is run by Faraja, if I'm not mistaken, I need to double check the numbers, but not less than 5 members of parliament came out of the youth parliament.
Wow.
I think that for me shows there's something we are doing right. We are
Wow.
grooming leaders that can actually champion a discussion, can lead an agenda to the end. Because by the time these young people are going through these youth parliament discussions, their confidence is boosted. They have done their research. Many of them actually read, because you're not going to be a speaker of a parliament and you're not informed. You have to be informed. What are the issues? What are the laws around these issues? Who do I go to? Where do I present this document? What document do I write? How do I write a policy brief? Am I going to write it as a narrative report or an essay? No, this is the structure. Where they don't have the skills, we have brought in training. We have worked with SEPA to help these young people understand, how do I structure a document that I can present to an institution like the East African Legislative Assembly, that I can present to Parliament of Uganda, that I can present to the ministry? How do I state my recommendations to a policy change? And have I read this policy that I'm recommending to? So I'm not surprised that many of these young people, and going forward, you will see many of them come up, because when they go back to their communities, you will find them in leadership roles. Either they're joining council, they're joining NYC, they will go back into the structures. And I feel they go back to try and make it work. They will go back to the National Youth Council to try and make it work, because they have learned, they have said, okay, through the National Youth Parliament, I wrote a policy brief and it went through. I actually presented it to the clerk of East African Legislative Assembly. So it can work. Let me go back to my district. Now I'm going to become a National Youth Council member and see how I can lobby and navigate this space. Probably they get better at navigating the civic space than the person who has probably not gone through some of these structures. I'm not saying the National Youth Parliament is the only structure. There are so many, but when they're mentored well and prepared for this leadership, or these young, they soar. These young people soar. They will show you what their potential is. It is not that young people do not know what their problems are. The challenge is sometimes they don't know how to present their issues in a way that is convincing, that compels action. There are young people that will present an issue and you say, no, this one, we need a budget reallocation. This one is an emergency. Then there are others who will choose to go on the streets and waylay people and beat them. Both of them are presenting the same issue, but one will get a result faster.
Wow. So diplomacy has always been the best way to go through. That's what Dolly is trying to remind us in whatever kind of advocacy that we are doing. So I want to come back to you as we're coming to almost the conclusion of our conversation. I've seen your passion is quite distinct towards bringing up the young people into leadership and affecting positively the way activism is done. What has inspired you into getting into that direction?
I think my work from the beginning of my career has been with young people, one way or the other. My career started from protection, human rights protection, and even then I was working with teenage mothers, and you would see their struggles. But even amidst those struggles, there were leaders in there. There were people who would say, you know, I'm struggling because I gave birth at 13. However, I want to change the narrative for me, but also for every other girl that comes after me. I am going to focus on getting my tailoring machine. I want to open up a business. I want to train other girls who went through the same situation I went through. But this was a child. It was never that. Many of them were a result of defilement. Many of them. And some probably a relationship gone wrong at the wrong age. But you see the resilience to bounce back and to move forward, but not alone, to also go back and pull other people. That is leadership. Leadership is showing the way, having a vision, but not leaving anyone behind. If they are back, you go back, you pick them, you say, you know what, we need to move to the end. So for me, coming from that background, I feel leaders are at every level. You don't have to be a minister to be a leader. You don't have to be a counselor to be a leader. Just have your information, have it correct. Because once people see that you know something, you can challenge something, you can speak for something, they will come to you.
Wow.
They will come for advice, they will come for help. You can even be a leader in your small group. It has happened. A group of 4, there's usually one who understands for the rest,
True.
who they are coming to for advice. When people want serious decisions, they say, but you see, like Issa, now I want to go to university. Which course should I do? So you're a leader. People trust your judgment.
Wow.
Leadership is about people having trust in your judgment, what you think, what you believe, and where you're taking them. That is leadership. And there's so many things that young people have fallen short of. I talked of information. If people put trust in you, challenge yourself to go and read, because they will keep coming to you. You can't have wrong information. They're asking you about family planning. You're saying, those things, they give cancer, they kill people, your wife will not produce. Is that correct information? Have you read about it? Are those the facts? Are those the health facts? Correct information. And if you do not know, don't speak about subject matter you don't know.
Sure.
It compromises you. Then people lose trust in you.
Sure.
But also, integrity is one thing people undermine. I have seen our young people change goalposts. Today they're here, tomorrow they're there. Integrity is not there. Today they're speaking about this issue, tomorrow they are the ones speaking for the issue.
Wow.
Today they are against it, tomorrow they are for it.
They are for it.
If you are a person who you don't even trust your integrity yourself, maybe leadership is not your place. Try maybe business. I don't know. Even business needs integrity. I don't know what other job. Maybe a shrine would run it very well. I don't know. But maybe integrity is key for a young person. Stand by your word. If it is no, let it be no. It can't be no today, yes the other day, maybe another day, and the other day you say, you know what, me, I didn't say that. Then videos of you are surfacing saying the same thing on a talk show. So I feel integrity is one of the things that young people are missing out on. And also, if you're going to be a leader, endeavor to be economically okay, because it is not for the weak.
Wow.
There are so many forces that are going to come against you to push you off. If you're a young person who is somewhere there struggling, you're the one who is economically not okay, integrity is not there, you don't have the right information, I wouldn't be surprised if you'd be found on the road rioting. Because somebody gave you 30K and said, go and beat up for me that group. You need the 30,000 because you have a child sick at home. So you compromise your integrity completely because of your economic situation. Just because you're a leader doesn't mean you should not work. The Bible says they bless the work of your hands, not of your legs or your eyes. It is of the hands that you will be blessed. So if you do not work, you will not get. If you do not get, your integrity can easily be compromised. Easily be compromised.
Wow, touching on integrity, when you say we must work, so that before we get into leadership spaces, we must be having something that cannot actually take us into being lured into evil actions. That reminds me of the current evolution within the country. We've seen the arm of legislation. That is one of the major arms of government. So these days being a lot of people from, actually it began from the head, now it has descended into the secretariat themselves, being subjected to investigations and a lot of them being picked for issues to do with corruption. Do you think integrity allude to some of the factors that they are now into those kind of?
I truly believe. It still goes back to economic empowerment and integrity. There are so many MPs that have gone into this political journey because they believe there's opportunity for money there. If you go to leadership with that mindset, believe me, whatever you do will not be for God and my country. It will
Sure.
it will cease to be, because you will first have to have your cut before for God and my country applies. And because your mindset from the beginning was there is money in politics, I will find loopholes here and there. And probably I do not have facts yet on whether we are waiting for court to rule if they were guilty of the fraudulent behaviors they had or not. But if it is true, then I believe that was not right. Because as a leader, if you lack integrity, then it's very challenging, because you have a lot of resources at your disposal, by the way. Very tempting. As a leader, you can influence, you have resources, you can allocate, you can even choose to own or give. If you have that kind of power to influence, to direct, to mobilize resources, and you don't have integrity, you will easily be lowered. You will easily be lowered.
Sure. Yeah. As we come to the end of the conversation, what message would you give to a young person out there who is inspiring to move from activism into leadership, and that one who is inspiring to have an effective activism? What specific message would you give to those kind of young people that you really feel will work for them?
Yeah. For the activists, I feel like the activists are the engines that keep things moving. For them, they are always sparking. Things have to keep moving. The issues have to be got, and solutions have to be arrived at. For the activists, key for me is just try to look a bit deeper into issues before you carry it up. The last thing you want is for you to be made to swallow your words because they were incorrect. I think it sets you back as an activist. People will not trust you. Trust is, this is a game of feelings. Politics is a game of emotions. People can love you from their heart. People can hate you from their heart for no reason at all. You don't have to have done anything. They will hate you because you put on a blue shirt. And they don't have any reason why. No reason. So if you master how to work with people's emotions, please, trust is one of those things that is an emotion that is very, very easy to earn if you're doing the right thing, very easy to lose when you do the wrong thing. Make sure you have your facts. It is okay to not know. The beginning of knowing is not knowing. We move from the unknown to known. So I don't expect you to move from known to unknown. No. If you don't know, it is okay. Go and read about it. Next time, you will know and come and speak to it. For the leaders, leaders are visionary people. Leaders are people who see ahead. This is the Uganda I want to see. I may not be a youth at that time, but I am going to start the journey of 1,000 miles now. And you need to have your strategy of how am I going to do this? So I'm going to use these structures. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start as an activist, then move from an activist. I'm going to go into this journey, this angle of leadership. You need to be a visionary. Leadership is not for tomorrow. Leadership is for the future. 10, 40, 50 years. Where do you want to see the Ugandan youth? By the next census, young people might be around 80% of the population. I'm thinking, because the rate at which our fertility rate is what, 3 point something?
Yes, 3 point around 2 there.
Yeah, by the next census, imagine this population times 3 point something. We will be far, but majority will still be somewhere there. Depends if we still continue with this fertility rate. It may go up. What do you want these young people that are coming up to find? A foundation that has been built. What foundation as a leader do you want to leave? So those are the questions you want to ask yourself. If you're clear about that, start the journey. Start it now. You lead in whatever circle you're in. Don't wait to become an MP to be a leader. No. At your level where you are, earn trust, talk, speak for the voiceless, be an advocate. That is how leadership starts. So that is my message for the young people.
Yes, thank you so much, our viewers out there. This has been Akot Dolly, Ajok Dolly, the heads of programs at Faraja Africa Foundation. Yes, and viewers, I want to remind you that you move from the unknown to the known, not from the known to the unknown. If you understand the fundamentals, then you're good to go. That's from Dolly, heads of program for Faraja Africa Foundation for you. And keep it tuned to Let's Table It as we continuously table the key issues around governance and things that surround us. Thank you. Keep it tuned. We meet again.